So it's just thee and me. So good evening, everybody, and a very warm welcome to our Lyceum night coming to you from the Paul Spiritualist Church on the south coast of the UK. Great delight to actually find a time in this lady's very busy schedule to be with us tonight on our Lyceum. Sandra Mitchell Aetheris. Good evening, my darling.
Good evening, and good evening to everybody out there.
Thank you. So it's so when you said yes, you could do this night, I was like, brilliant. Because not only have we got this opportunity to get a bit to know a little bit more about you and your workings within spiritualism, we can actually meet you because you are here live in 2 weeks' time in sunny Paul. So that is, and here is where you'll be. Oh, I'll try it again. Here is where you'll be working. So absolutely wonderful. Sandra, the first sort of question is, and always an all-time favourite, where did your mediumship start to manifest in your life? Are we going back to childhood or adolescence or what?
Yeah, my mum was a medium and her mother was, and it was very much in the family. Brilliant. And from a young child, there was 12 of us, by the way, and so you can imagine the energy within the house. So we had a lot of physical phenomena going on. We had all different things going on, and it was good, but it was scary at the same time. Because you know what it's like when you're kids, you get excited, but you get nervous when things start happening around you. And so, I was aware of spirit. I had a brother that passed before I was born, and we used to see him at the top of the stairs. It wasn't just me; it was the rest of my brothers and sisters. We were fully aware of him, and there was lots of energies going on. Not the most thing I think I remember is all the physical phenomena that actually went on in the bedrooms and in the hallway, especially. We used to, have we used to call it the box room, and it definitely went on in the box room, and that was the room that, as kids, we all used to dream about actually, and it was really strange, and it was a room in our dreams that we wouldn't go into, and so it just sort of grew from there. My awareness. Wow. I wasn't interested as I got older, even though it was like spirit were tapping on the door all the time, and I used to have lots of things going on around me. And even when I was going to school, I ask my school friends now today, things that I don't remember, but they remember, that I used to come into school and talk about it with them, scare them, what used to go on in the house. So, that's quite interesting as well, actually.
So birthday parties weren't very well attended then, I'm guessing?
No.
How wonderful. How wonderful to be brought up in that environment, because quite often, it's fairly widely accepted that children are more in touch and commune with spirit than they are in later life. But then in households where this is not understood or not practiced or even reviled, that's sort of like beating them out of them. So with your childhood, I'm guessing that was just sort of like, you can see your brother. Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, if I hear something in the hallway, my biggest fear was going to bed at night, because the younger ones always used to go first, the three of us. We were the smallest, and we used to sit on the top of the stairs because we would be frightened to go into our bedrooms, and we'd wait for the older siblings to come up the stairs. And then once, I got into my bedroom, I shared a bedroom with three sisters. And I was like the smallest, so I was passed from bed to bed, because when they get frightened, they call me into their bed. And you're talking about a lot of physical phenomenon. It wasn't just your normal feeling; it was proper tappings and all things going on. And at the time, I was frightened, but thinking back, it set me up for later life to accept spirit. I think I didn't have any doubts. I acknowledged it. I believed everything I was receiving. I allowed my imagination to work, because it's all part of your imagination as well. And I just grew with it, I think. And I'm constantly growing. I'm constantly learning. And I do help a lot of people who are in the same position as me, or, going through that as through childhood, but they didn't have the parents I had.
Yeah. And that must have been really interesting for you, because when we come into the movement later on in life, we're going to come in with a fairly blinkered view as to what the spirit world can and can't do. And that's normally based on our own perception. Oh, they can't do that, or they can't do that. But with you growing up with that environment around you, that must have been wonderful, because, you know, you hadn't got those blinkers on. Yeah, spirit can do that. That's fine. You know,
yeah, and even now, and if I could tell you some of the things that have happened when I was a kid and growing up, thinking back, were absolutely amazing. You know, people pay for the sort of physical phenomena we witnessed and we saw more or less on a nightly basis, I'd say. And any like aunties and uncles, they'd never go in our house on their own. They all knew what went on in the house, but it was a pleasant energy. It wasn't, you know, like something that we felt would harm us.
Yeah.
I mean, my mum would just say, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's your brother Jimmy." And when my dad passed, you know, the grandchildren used to see him at the top of the stairs, and they'd never met him before, and they could describe him or show a photograph of him. So the house was always full of spirit.
Definitely. Well, I say brilliant. To live in it would be a different thing, but that is wonderful. And you touch on something that's been going around in the ether for a little while. When we start talking about focusing more on home circles at this time and starting to put the emphasis back into the home circles. You said that magic word, and I haven't heard that word for a long time. The box room. My gran had the box room. The other gran had the box room. And these were the rooms, actually, that were quite often used for home circles. It was either the box room or the back bedroom. The houses must have all been built the same in those eras. But it was fantastic what was happening, you know. And like you quite rightly said about nowadays, it'd be a lot of money, and it is. And sadly, the money coming in may outweigh the actual involvement of spirit at times. It's me being incredibly tactful. But that actual sitting with spirit, not for, you know, great reward, not for, you know, everybody falling down and praising you as a wonderful medium, just to be with spirit and what you can achieve in those energies is absolutely amazing. Absolutely.
I think a lot what happens nowadays is we restrict ourselves, and we don't allow ourselves to grow. It's like we have to work. Well, I don't, because I'm a bit of a maverick, but some people are quite restricted in, oh, there's a gentleman here and he's got blonde hair and he's this height and he died of this and, you know, blah, blah, blah. And it's almost like they're psychically reading spirit's aura. They're not hearing from spirit. They're not listening to spirit. They're not hearing what their loved one is actually saying. It's like if my brothers, because I got quite a lot in spirit, and sisters, they come through from spirit, they would not stand patiently while a communicator or the medium express their personality. You know, they would want, you would want to know about your children. You would want to know, you know, what's happening, and pass messages on to your, not only to the person that you're giving the message to, but your children. You'd want to tell them what the spirit world would like, what it's like. It's so restricted. It's so, you can't do this and you can't do that and blah, blah, blah. You know, why don't we just let spirit speak their truth, speak their words, and then we speak their truth and we speak their words, and we're not restricted, and we're not stupid. If anything comes through like foul language and that, we're going to, you know, we won't say it. Well, it might be the odd word, but, you know, we're not going to say it, are we?
No.
And a lot of us have got the common sense, you know. I mean, actually, I saw in one of your write-ups, you were talking about that you've had people come in where mediums are telling their clients that, you know, their family members are going to die and everything else. And you said that spirit wouldn't do that. Well, I actually can differ on that one, because they don't say to me, so-and-so is going to die, or etc., etc. But because I work with symbology, I work with a lot of symbology. What I see, if I feel the person is going to attend a funeral, is they're wearing an armband.
Yeah.
And the thicker the armband, the nearer the funeral. And I could expand on it, but obviously I don't tell anyone that. But I do know that they're going to attend a funeral. Or I see a widow, you know, the old Spanish widows. And I see them standing behind them. as well. So spirit can communicate that, definitely.
I agree, and it wasn't the place to go into fully. I have had exactly the same, where you just got this knowing. The difference is I don't go running up to somebody and say, oh, your husband's going to die. You know, you're just made aware of it, and you're like, okay, that's for my information. I don't need this validation. I don't need to go out there and telling everybody, you know, look at me, aren't I a good medium? I'm foretelling this. We do see that. My issue is when you're charging a lot of money and you just pad out a reading with something thrown in there just for that energy of the moment. Whereas, as I said, and thank you for bringing that up, because it's given me a chance just to get this out. Yeah, we do.
That's good. But also, spirit do tell you things, and they do forewarn things as well. And I suppose because my mum, I'm quite old school in a lot of ways of thinking about energy and how it works. And I mean, generations gone by, they had a lot more knowledge than we do nowadays, because I think we restrict ourselves too much. And it's like my daughter, when she was 12, she came to me and she said, Mum, you're going to get cancer. You know, they told me you're going to get cancer. And I did. And she's come out with so many things. I mean, she's a medium herself, but they do warn you about things as well. And they will tell you things that, in my experience anyway, of things that are actually going to happen. And they say, I don't know. I mean, I just believe we should just open our minds and our hearts and allow them to talk to us. One of the biggest things spirits ever said to me, when I was, because I had to develop like anyone else, and the biggest things they said to me is work from the heart. Work from the heart and you won't go wrong. Just keep working from the heart. And I said, oh, what do you mean by that? And they said, work with empathy, work with the caring about you, and then spirit will draw especially close with you and they'll work with you.
Yeah, and that's very true. And that just sort of reiterates what I was saying there. Yes, sometimes we do know, but it is to get us ready to be in the right place, right time, to be of that assistance. Is when people use it, you know, for my public demonstration. I'm going to throw that out there. And also there is that thing about, I mean, spirit are super intelligent. They're more intelligent than us. And looking at today's society, it's not really difficult. But anyway, they are more intelligent than us. And they will know and understand the implications of that news being shared to somebody. But it's through us and through our mediumship where we have to pull the rein in and go, right, okay, thank you. I acknowledge that. I understand it.
I can honestly say that I have never, ever had anything bad come through, a message to give someone. Never, ever had a bad message. I've been working on, you know, they do work with me, my family in spirit. Sorry, I didn't mean.
Once, and it was a mother communicating with a daughter in the congregation, and it was hard work. You know, it was one of those, it's just like, oh, really? Why am I here? And I said something, and this lady was a bit dismissive about it. And the mother said, oh, Christ, she always was an awkward cow. And I'm like, oh, great.
Isn't that wonderful?
I know.
Wonderful. Isn't that, it's so real, and they're still so real.
It was just, well, if you two are going to row, I'll step out the way. You carry on. Comment here from the lovely Roy McKay, down here in the South Coast now. And just reiterating what you said there about be honest in how you work. Yeah, so true. We see it, don't we? Sadly, there's manipulations of facts sometimes goes on within our movement, and you can see it sometimes in the demonstrations. My pet peeve. This is my pet peeve.
I don't know how people can work with spirit and use their mind to make stories up or pad things out, because you lose the focus of spirit. I mean, because you expand your awareness, and once you go back to think, how can you think like that and work with spirit at the same time giving messages? They must be very clever, or they're just talking rubbish.
I know which one I favour. But yeah, one of my pet peeves is when you see sometimes in demonstrate, oh, I'd like to come to the lovely lady there in white. You've got long hair and you've got a nice necklace on. I'm being told that you're a medium, and it's like, hang on, they're a medium because they're friends of yours. Yeah, and that is one of my real.
Well, I got a point. I mean, sometimes, I used to say to Spirit, my guides, my team, or whatever you want to call them, don't bring a message for anyone I know, because people would think I'm making it up, or even the person I'm giving the message to will think, oh, she knows me already. But I must admit, on occasion that has happened. But what I've done is bring through someone different with a different message.
Yeah,
that's what. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it.
And it's working with that integrity as well, isn't it? Sandra, I know you, but I would like to work with you. I don't know everything about and that just gets it out. There's no covering it up. And sadly, as I say, sometimes you see people.
And also when you're working psychic, if you're honest as well, because I mean, mediumship and psychic, they can work hand in hand sometimes.
Yeah.
Not so much in the church, because I suppose we have people there who are grieving and they want to have messages from their loved ones, and they're in a low place. But maybe on one-to-ones, I mean, I have done it in a church, but I tell them I'm going to switch to psychic just for a minute, and then I'm going to go back to mediumship. Sometimes the energy drops, and when the energy drops, you tend to go a little bit psychic, and then you give Spirit a chance to build the energy back up.
Correct.
And you can work the two of them together.
And psychism got a really bad rap. I always remember quite a few years ago now, somebody saying, oh yeah, but that was only psychic. And I thought, they just gave somebody their PIN number. Don't say that was only psychic. That was awesome. If that's only psychic, I'll be happy doing that. But again, you're just honest with it and just go, hang on, going into the psychic here because I know I need to work more with you.
That's right. There's a lot of people there, I always remember when I first started out, I worked from home, and I just learned from my guides, I suppose. And I used to sit in the silence for an hour every day without fail. And then I used to do it lying down in my bedroom, and my ex-husband used to say to me, here she goes, kids, she's going off for a sleep. And then so they all believed it, but I wasn't. I was actually sitting in the silence, and I did it for an hour every day without fail. Brilliant. And it developed and it developed and it developed, and it was amazing.
Yeah. There's a question here from Sue Townsend. I think we just answered that. Sandra, what would you do about people who are sat in the congregation who are reading people psychically and telling their friend what they are getting about people? It's their ego trip? As a question. So I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, Sue.
I'm not. Is it a medium doing that, or is it people in the congregation together having a conversation? Listen, it's up to them what they do. I don't think we can interfere or we can comment. What they get up to is up to them, as long as it. I mean, I knew some people in a group who they'd be developing, and they go outside the door, and then they'd give each other messages, and the medium would say, that's it, stop it, no more messages, we finished the group. I mean, it's up to them, really. Who makes the rules? That's what I'd like to know. Who makes the rules?
My last circle leader, once the circle would finish, you were not allowed to discuss it. She said, you open up the energies again, you do not discuss what went on in the circle again. I said, wait, okay, fair enough. Robin Durbin, that's worrying because my family name is Durbin. You're from London. Anyway, sometimes it's just about the money, and there is a large percentage of so-called mediums that prey on the bereaved and the vulnerable. Sadly, yes, there is an element of that within our movement, but the churches and centres have got a wherewithal, and the practitioners work for the highest and the best. We get some.
Well, I do this full time. And, I have a car to run. I have food to buy.
Yeah.
And I remember I used to be like a carer, and I just used to sort of, as I was developing, and I just got so many people interested, wanted to come to me for readings. I said to Spirit, well, what should I do? I can't stop work because I need to pay my mortgage. I need to do things. And I had the feeling that they wanted me to stop my work, my full-time work, to go on to mediumship full-time work. So I do charge. And every so often I give free readings. My charity events are completely free. I only charge my petrol money for those. And that's how I do it. I don't feel guilty about it because I know Spirit pushing me onwards. I know I'm helping people, and I would never, ever take advantage of the vulnerable.
I agree with you 100%. You know, we do have this sometimes a view from people. They talk about your gift. And I know I highlighted a case before we went on air where somebody said, no, you can't do that. It's your gift. You've got to do it. And I said, it's not a gift. I've invested hundreds of hours into developing this. I've invested thousands of pounds through workshops, courses, reading material, etc., to be able to do this. It's not a bloody gift. Oops. You're leading me astray. I
mean, do people realise that aren't mediums or you know, they don't work, that how much commitment we put into it, how much feeling and how much of our time is put into it, and we are fully aware we're charging. And I don't think, as long as we do the job well, because it is sort of a job, we're getting paid for it, a service, as long as we do it well and we're helping that person, bringing some closure, some healing. I mean, and they give an offering, why not? Why not? I don't see the problem.
Yeah, no, I agree with you 100%. There are professional mediums like yourself who have a skill base. You know, these people say, oh, it should be free. You should be given that time free. Whatever your, you know, if you're a plumber.
They can come and clean my house for free.
Exactly. I'll say, if you're a plumber, you go and work for free. You've got that knowledge. Why wouldn't you not give it away? If you're a carpenter, you know, it is a skill. And like I highlighted there, where we are today represents a very long journey, a journey sometimes full of great disappointments, frustration, hardships, emotional ups, emotional downs. And that is not to be discounted because you think that money is dirty. You know, well, how do you pay your bills? And
they can call it what they want. I'm not particularly interested, to be honest. But because, you know, I know the things that how hard I work at it, and how I try to heal people, maybe not with hands on, but I heal them with bringing through their loved ones from spirit, and I help them in that way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it is. Thankfully, that is on the wane now. When we first went online, that was quite a common topic that people would come up and say, oh, no, you should do all this for free. And I'm like, well, you go and do your job for free and then come back and talk to me.
But that goes back to the 20s, doesn't it? And like the 40s, you hear stories that they were so, you know, they travel for free and they give, you know, everything for free. But, you know, it's, I don't know, I'm not saying it was easier then. But
it's a different world. And you said a key thing there, and I know that all reputable mediums do this. You said sometimes I don't charge. Yeah. People don't see that. They don't hear about it because we don't go online. We don't go into social media saying, oh, I did a private sitting today, but I didn't charge because. You just do it, you know, and people don't see that. But then again, some people don't want to see that.
And what I do as well, if they're not happy with the reading, don't pay.
Yep. I've got a house rule. First 10 minutes, if it's not working, absolutely fine. Get up, walk out the door.
Yeah.
If you sit for the full half hour, but you've got that caveat, you've got that option, and that's for both sides. That's the medium, you know, because as mediums, we know sometimes you sat there and thinking, I can't read for you.
I'm smiling because Shirley Ann Bates, she's put, hi Sandra, has anything ever shocked or surprised you while giving a reading? She knows the answer because I know that's why she's trying to get me to say it.
Okay. So
I'm not going to say it.
Fair enough.
Say it.
The answer is yes.
It has been. There's many things that have happened while I've been given a reading, and that was like, oh.
But it is amazing, isn't it? Some of the things that do come through. All right, we have afterwards we find the humor in it, but sometimes I always remember I had somebody with a drug issue, and they actually I felt the tourniquet going on my arm, and I was on the platform go, get it off, get it off. I've never experienced it, but I knew what it was. I understood what they were trying to communicate. That's always stuck in my mind, that feeling, that sensation, because I was just rigid with it. I went, no.
What I find is sometimes you need a sense of humour. You have to have a sense of humour to do what we do, and especially if, no offence to anyone who's got a loved one who's passed with dementia, okay, but sometimes when they step forward, they impress on you how they've passed, don't they?
Yeah.
And like sometimes if it's somebody with dementia or memory loss, they'll say something to me and I'll go and say it and I'll forget, and then I'll forget and I'll keep forgetting until I realise that they pass with dementia.
Yeah.
So that's it's not funny, but you know, when it happens, it is quite humorous, and they laugh as well. They find it quite amusing as well.
Yeah, you do, don't you? Because I understand. I know what a hysterectomy feels like now, because I kept having this hollow feeling. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. Tell me. And I asked the sitter afterwards. She said she had a hysterectomy, and I went, oh right. So whenever I get that hollow feeling, I think, here I am. I'm having my hysterectomy again. I know for you ladies that is not a laughing thing, but for a bloke to understand that sensation, it's just like, stop it, stop there. Roy, coming back on the money issue there, man is worth his labour, indeed. You know, and the ultimate answer is, these people say it should be free. If you're unwilling to pay for something, then guess what? Don't pay for it. It's really not hard, is it?
What was the question there? Some people say they're hot when spirit are close. Others say they're cold. Can I ask what your experience is and why? I'm not sure of why there's a difference. I think the coldness is more to do with a little bit of physical phenomena. I always feel that, you know, when there's physical phenomena going around, that I feel quite cold. I don't really feel a lot of warmth, to be honest with you. I just feel energies as their energy sort of connects with my energy. I have a sensation, and I feel the energy drawing close. But no, it's not one of the things I big time notice, apart from the cold, and I know there's something physical going to happen around me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. As a healer, if I get the heat coming through, I know that I'm dealing with more of either a viral or another infection type condition. If I feel the cold coming in, I know I'm dealing with inflammation.
Really?
Yeah. I just find that fascinating. I put my hand somewhere, and if it goes freezing cold, it's all stiff shoulder. Yeah, it's just there. But and it makes perfect sense as well, you know, because if you have a bacterial or a viral condition, your body heats up to get rid of it. So with the healing energy, that comes through me as a hot energy. So I've got that recognition. If I'm dealing with it.
No, go on, carry on. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. It's your evening. Shut me up, please. If I'm dealing with
I was just going to say, talking on healing, I don't actually do hands-on. It's when I'm giving a reading, I ask the healers to step forward, and I can watch them doing their magic. And when I first started healing many years ago, many, it was one of my daughter's friends. She came to visit, and I was just started off as a medium at home. I didn't have anything to do with the churches for about 15 years before I went near a church. Not that there's anything wrong with the churches, it didn't interest me. And Spirit said to me, put your hand on the knee. And I said, yeah, all right. They're going, put your hand on the knee. So I said, okay, I'll try. So I said, Heidi, come here, let me have a look. And I felt the energy there, because I'd never done healing before. I felt the energy. And then within, they say, 5 minutes, she didn't have a pain. Now, obviously, Spirit were going to give me a positive outcome because they wanted me to do healing, so that they wanted to aspire me to do it. So I started practicing by myself, or some days I do reading, sometimes I do healing. I didn't charge for the healing, by the way. And I experienced, I think it was quite different what I experienced. I'd see the sometimes angelic beings, or I'd see spirit gathering around me. And sometimes when I put my hands on them, spirit would tell me to step back. And then in my mind's eye, I could see all the surgeons, everyone going in around them, working on them. But the interesting thing was that sometimes the soul would come out, and then I'd see them healing the physical. And I'd ask the person who I was giving the healing to, what did they experience? Said their eyes closed all the time. And they just said they sensed lightness. You know, they felt really sort of light. So, and I learned so much in that room by just working just with spirit. I had no influence by anything else, just working with them. I learned that all the pains, everything comes from the solar plexus area. That's where we hold everything. And I should see them go in and take it, you know, cleanse them. And I see what would come out, all their life experiences come out that had harmed them. Amazing stuff. I don't do it anymore, but it was amazing learning period.
That is one of the amazing facets of healing as well. Something I teach the healers here: don't get sidetracked by a bad knee, to use that as an example. Go deeper, a bit like we work with our evidential mediumship. You know, we go deeper. You show me a fish. Why are you showing me a fish? Because we used to go fishing. Where did you go? You know, you can work on the same with healing. Bad knee can be an echo, I call it, from a physical, emotional, mental trauma, or just bad housekeeping of the body, or whatever, you know. But keep going into it and finding out more. But you also, you know, that beautiful. I love that, what you just said about healing. Absolutely wonderful. But within
I mean, my own personal opinion, because
that's great.
Spirit would tell me to stand back, and I'd go out the room and make a cup of tea, and while they were being healed, and they were just sort of out of it, and then I'd come back in and I'd talk to them, and they said they could feel hands on them while I was out the room. They could feel that they could feel it. And it was brilliant.
I've experienced that with a psychic surgeon down here. Started off laying on the couch, hands were there, and obviously you can hear, so you can hear them moving down the room. But by the time they got to your feet, there's like 10 hands on you, and you're thinking, okay. I know where 2 belong. Where are the other 8? Where did they come from? But it's awesome. But in our workers' evidence,
you know, also I want to talk about healing. Sorry, because my experience was, when I was doing the hands-on, I saw a hand come out of my hand, and it was like go in and start working in the person's aura or body, whatever you want to use the term. I used to experience that a lot. Thinking about it, I don't know why I stopped, but it was just I moved forward. And spirit, when they do healing now, they if I'm giving I was going to say session then. If I'm giving a reading, I can see them. They come in, even psychic surgeons, and they come around that person, and I say, you come for a reading, but the real reason you're here is healing. I'm not going to put my hands on you, but they will be working on you. So if you feel them around you, and they usually do, and I see the surgeons come in and they're working with them, and it's brilliant.
That is absolutely awesome. Because as I say, you know, a lot of the basis of our evidential mediumship is healing, isn't it? And it's not just for the sitter, it's also for the spirit. You know, I often say, if me and you have a huge row, all right, an asset, never talking to you again, and I pop me clogs, well, sooner or later, I'm going to want to put right the things. And one of them would be to come through on a message and just saying, do you know what? I'm sorry. My fault. I was out of order. That's my healing route as a spirit. And this is something I see time.
How do you know you'd want to do that? How do you know?
I may. I said
I may
do that. I would like to think.
How do you know when you pass, you see the bigger picture, and then you understand that that incident was meant to happen for both of you? It had a ripple effect. How do you know that wasn't meant to happen? Why do you need to come and say sorry?
Okay, well, you've just blown my theory of the spirit world out of the water now. So I'm going to give up running a church now and become a bus conductor.
Because I find when I work with a lot of spirit communicators, they see the bigger picture. They always say, we see the bigger picture, we know. And so, you know, a family member was for whatever reason would say, you know, I feel so bad, you know, I did this to them, and, you know, and all this, they say things like that. And I try to explain and prove that, well, once you go to the spirit world, you have a greater understanding.
Yeah.
Your life that's just gone. So you know you were meant to experience that. You know, this is like a huge matrix. We're here to learn. And we choose our avatar, we choose who we're going to be, and there's a script, and we can change it at any point. We have free choice. And then when it's our turn, it's like a computer game. And when it's our turn to go to the spirit world, we just go up and come down as somebody else.
Yeah.
But with the same knowledge within our soul.
And I agree, because I often say to people, you know, we're here to learn, but not every lesson comes wrapped in bows and with puppies. You know, it's at a time of great adversity, and we need people to bring that adversity in to our lives so that we can meet it, you know, and stretch ourselves.
I like, I like Sue Townsend's question. Sandra, do you have a specific guide which brings forward philosophy and or inspirational writing? I'm not one of these that have, I know my guides are there, and I know I'm working a lot with philosophy at the moment. I'm being so inspired in many ways. And so I don't have a name for them. I just see beams of energy, like white lights behind me or working with me. And I sometimes they dress themselves, as I call it, because they shapeshift, don't they? I mean, they can be who they want to be because they're just energy, and they dress into who they want to be. So they are, I know I don't sort of in my head think, oh, there's Running Bear, or there's Sebastian, or there's my great philosopher, or there's, no, I don't answer your question. And when I used to look after my mum on continuing care when she was very ill and night shifts, I used to pick up a pen, and this was many years ago, and I used to start to ask them to give me messages. And when you first start, it's a lot of nonsense. And then as you get into it, it starts making more and more sense. And what they're doing is they're inspiring you to write the words.
Yeah.
You're actually being inspired to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And inspirational writing as well, like evidential mediumship. It starts off a bit jerky. You have to get into the flow. You have to start feeling comfortable. You have to start expanding. There's instances going back to turn of the century where inspirational writing was delivered, and it was so fine that they could only read it with a magnifying glass. I mean, how awesome is that? Because you must have just sat there. Somebody sat there going, well, what's that? And looking for a magnifying glass, actually found it was clear-cut sentences and chapters. But inspirational writing, yeah, absolutely beautiful. Because when we write something and it goes out there, it remains, doesn't it? In some form or another, especially in today's world, there will always be that electronic reference to it somewhere. And
it's also when you do inspirational talking and it's recorded, and you can go back on it and you can say, oh, that happened, or this is going to happen.
Yeah, very
do you
true.
Believe, can I ask you a question?
Please do.
Do you believe the guides can, when people do inspirational talking or light trance, or the guides can come through and predict the future?
I can believe that they will. Okay. I have seen future events. Nothing that really. Do you remember the big meteorite over in Russia about 5-6 years ago that was in all the news? It came down, blew up, and then carried on. I was looking out the window about 6 months beforehand, and I saw that in my mind's eye, and I went, what was that? And then when it came on the news, I went, oh my God, that is exactly what I saw. Come down, big flash. Yes, I believe that we can look into the future, and yes, like any of our
no, what I mean is like when you're when you do like trance or you're being inspired and you get it being inspired is just saying things that you get the urge to say, really, isn't it? And it gets stronger and stronger as you go along, and then you don't think about it, and then it just automatically comes out your mouth. You just sort of hear it. That when the guide steps forward and speaks through you or with you, that they can give they can tell the future from your words or their words, rather than have it in mental mediumship.
Yes,
you know what I mean. I suppose it is mental mediumship.
Yeah.
Do it like that, huh?
Yeah, I do believe that. I believe, it may not unfold exactly. You're going to have a good day tomorrow. How does that unfold? That can unfold in many different ways. So I think you get that, in my humble opinion, you get that general gist of it. You may not get the exact detail of everything that's going to happen, but that energy will become manifest, and you'll go, yeah, I was ready for this. I knew this was coming.
Okay.
Yeah. Have I just failed a test?
No. Is it a test?
I don't know.
Is it a test? We're all different. I mean, we all experience different things, and it's nice to talk about it because we learn from each other.
Hugely. But yes, and I read a lot of the old books at times, and there's one from 1876 by W.T. Speed, and his writings in there you can apply to today's world with social issues and things going on. And I just think that's actually incredible, because we're 1976, we're near coming on for 200 years, but they are talking about today's world.
Dare I say this, and it's on recording. I was sort of not playing around with, that's the wrong word. I was practicing a little bit of trance, and a guide come through and spoke of 2022 and 2023. And it's all on recording, and they were saying how unhappy they were with the way the things were happening. I can't remember word to word. I've listened to it, but I can't remember it word for word. But how the gist of it was how unhappy they were with the way the earth was going and things were happening. And I don't know if I should say this actually. And I'm on the way now, I know, so I might as well say it. That there was going to be a war in 2023 and in Europe. And then they went on to say what would happen next, but they I'm going to put my neck on the line now, because it was all going to turn out all right, by the way. If anyone's going to sit at home and worry, it wasn't anything bad. It was just, they actually told me about it.
Yeah.
And which was really, really interesting, because there was lots of things that were said. And what I saw, if I told you, you'd probably think I'm crazy, but what they said was, but it was.
One of the things I find truly fascinating with trance is, and this is not decrying what you just said, but it just actually, to me, highlights my thinking on it. When we work in the trance states, we are contacting our team of people. So tonight, our team of people is us too. So we could talk about what's going to happen in 6 months. And from our perspective, our point of view, our understanding, possibly this. If you get another 2 people in to talk about exactly this, you would come with a different outcome, because it would then be coming from there. So when this is my understanding, when we're working as trance mediums, we are working with our group, and that is their viewpoint and their opinion of things, but it's no more the ultimate truth than the next trance medium who may say, no, 2023 is all going to be wonderful. So, and I find that the beauty of spirit, that there is that no definite, because we tend to be looking for the answer to everything, when actually it's not the answer, it's the journey to get there. And it is through debate, it is through talking. I will have here at Poole 2 trance mediums talking together while in trance, just to hear that difference of Well, that's their school of thought in the spirit world, and that's their school of thought in the spirit world. How interesting will that be to see how that complements or not each other?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds interesting.
It is. Oh, it's
It
fascinating.
sounds very interesting.
Yeah. And as I say, again, it's people. And when I say people, I don't mean us corporeal people. I mean the incorporeal people, opinion on things. I think, what was it? There was one book, there is no greater truth in the spirit lands as there is on earth, because there are as many schools of thought in the spirit land as there are stars in the galaxy. And I badly quoted that. But I found that fascinating, that it is opinions, it is thoughts, because going to spirit isn't the end of our journey, it's a continuation. So we're never going to get to that nadir, that end point. But yeah, that is very interesting, what you just said. That is interesting. We can feel it. There's something going on, isn't there? I'm not even going to second guess what's going on. I just said to somebody the other way, do you know what? Society at the moment, I feel like a pan of water that's, when it's hard simmers just before it boils over? I feel that energy. I just feel like we've got this hard simmer and it's waiting for something, but who knows? Who knows?
I mean, does your guide ever come to you? The mine come recently, every so often. I mean, I'm a little bit naughty. I'm not one of these mediums who's always, asking my guides questions. I just trust them, and like some people won't go to the loo without asking their guide if their permission, if it's all right. You hear it's crazy sometimes.
I know. My guide told me to wear red. And I said, well, if my guide wanted to be red, he could get it out of the wardrobe and bloody iron it for me.
And I think to myself, if our guides were meant to be doing that, or our team who's ever helping us were meant to be doing that all the time, what are we here for? That we might as well get them to do it, rather than experience the journey. But I've lost the plot now. I'm having a senior moment. I forgot what I was going to say. Someone with dementia's coming through. No, I'm only joking.
No, you're picking up my vibe.
I've lost the plot there. I don't know where I was going with that. Yeah, I have.
Right. Not to worry, that's wonderful. But yeah, it is. And this is the beauty of spiritualism, because we can celebrate that uniqueness, that individuality all the time. We are not meant, as evidential mediums or whatever our mediumship transpires as, we are not clones of our teachers.
Can I ask you a question? Do you actually ask spirit what type of, did you tell spirit, or do you ask spirit for what type of information you would class as evidential? I think we touched on that earlier before we went live.
Yeah. I'm just engaging with the spirit, like I gave a little example there, to hold up a fish. Okay, why are you showing me a fish? What's the story? What
I'm trying to say is, you come across some who they want this, they want that, they want this.
Oh, the shopping list.
I want that. It's like that sitcom, there's a Welsh one. I want that. They want all the time, and they demand. Like, I want your height, I want this, I want your colour, I want this, I want that. Do you feel that? How do you feel that influence? I'm asking you the question now.
I know.
I've taken control. I've taken control. How do you think that influences our mediumship? Do you think we restrict ourselves?
Yes.
Do we think we're not allowing spirit to speak their truth?
Yeah.
By allowing them to come in and listen to what they have to say, rather than, I've got to get that information to prove this, and I've got to do this but to prove that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I think we're restricting mediumship by doing that, don't you?
Very much. And
I also feel we really complicate it, overcomplicated. I mean, I'm not taking the mickey, but all these clairconquering, whatever they're called, all these new words that are coming out for different ways of working with spirit. I know there's something. I don't know what the new one is. Clairconquering or something. I don't know what it's called. Do you think we complicate things too much? Do you think we, instead of just relaxing naturally and allow them to communicate with us, that we're thinking, I got that clairvoyantly. I can sense that, and do you think that slows things up a little bit?
I think it can be misleading and probably misplace that evidential trail. We're having a conversation tonight. I'm not sat here with a checklist. Name, age, date of birth, where do you live, how tall are you? You know what? We wouldn't be having a conversation now. In fact, I call them the interrogation mediums. You know, it's sort of like name, address, age, where you come from. We're here to bring through that humanity of that person. We're there to bring that energy forward so that not only are we immersed in it, but your sitters immersed in it. And that's not by having a checklist of different details and facts about the person. Do you remember your mother? Here we go. This is my childhood memory. Do you remember your dad pushing you on the bike after taking the stabilizers off and you cycling for 10 feet and then seeing he got his hand off you and he fell off your bike? Do you know what? That would bring my dad alive, rather than he's 6'2", used to be in the army, he's got a moustache, he smoked. Just that one little memory, and I would go, that's my dad.
That's right.
That's
wonderful, because we all try to aspire to that. But what is the message as well? To hear their voice, what they have to say.
Yeah.
What are they? Why are they there? What do they really want to say?
Yeah.
Do they just want to bring memories, or do they want to have a proper conversation with you?
Again, when you can get into that energy that well, that conversation just flows. You don't have to consciously say, have you got anything to say? Because it will just unfold through the message. You know, and you're just saying this, and you remember that time with the bicycle. And he brings that forward at the moment because it's about confidence in yourself. And there's an issue going on in your life where confidence, you need to be a little bit more and that is the message coming in. And it's just built and weaved from this story. And you just come out and you go, wow, my dad was there. And he told me I've got to be a bit more confident in myself.
Yeah, I gave a reading yesterday and from a lady in Dubai. And I was on Zoom, and it's slightly different on Zoom. I think sometimes the energy is just as good, or it differs. But as I opened up and I was talking to her, the first thing that I heard, and it wasn't an image or anything, her father's thoughts become mine, and I could even feel his accent. He said to me, "Just tell my daughter she's beautiful." I went, "What?" He goes, just do what I tell you. Just tell my daughter she's beautiful. So I did. And she burst into tears because an hour before she'd said to her dad, "I'd only believe it was you if you give me that message."
Yeah.
A lot of what I know with my mum and my family, I have a certain checklist to prove, they have to. I know it's a bit of pressure for the medium, but it's nice to come through with things that, like you say, a memory or words that only you would know.
It shouldn't be a pressure for the medium, because the medium should be getting engaged with something just flitted across behind. The medium should be getting engaged with melding with that energy, melding with that spirit person. That I don't know if you've got a checklist or somebody else has got a checklist. I just want to talk with that spirit, and I trust spirit enough that they will say the right things. We do see there's been a bit of a debate recently, people saying about, well, you get mediums and they describe somebody and you say, what's their name? And they say, well, they're not giving me your name. Well, what's all that about? And I think, well, when you were young, when your dad walked in the room, was the first thing you ever said to him is, what's your name?
But it's what it means to them, though. I know what you're saying, because sometimes it happens, but it's what it means to them, and to them that's the most important thing. It may not be to us, but to them it's the most important thing. And I usually ask my guide or who's working with me, okay, write it on the wall, or give me the initial up on the wall, or write it on the floor, and they 9 times out of 10 they will. So it's working closely with the spirit world, I suppose. But that people do have expectations of, they think you're going to fly around the room on your broom, or they think you're going to, they think it's a clear conversation. and like I'm talking to you, that they don't understand all that goes into it. And you need the right energy as well. You need to have the right energy to bring stronger messages through. But I think if you explain it to them, it's not an exact science. If it was, I'd be worth millions, and you would as well. So it's and it'd be out there more, wouldn't it?
Very much. But getting back to the name thing, what I can see happening, because unfortunately I'm a bit of a cynic about the human race. Have you got their name? Yes, her name is Jean. Oh, okay. What was her address? 28 Kingdom Road. Oh, okay. What was the postcode? You know, people would just keep pushing and pushing for trivia.
We see. I wouldn't say the word tolerate. That sounds a bit harsh. I
Accommodate. You don't accommodate.
Right, accommodate. Yeah. I don't. I sort of. I talk to them beforehand, and what might come through and what not come through, and we don't get exact information and things like that, so they have a better understanding.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have somebody you can give them everything, and they're still not happy. I mean, and they can not be happy with the sitting.
Yeah. And lovely Roy, one word can say it all.
That's right.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think my best example of that was somebody was being difficult, and I said, please just give me one thing, and it showed me a pineapple. I said, he's holding up a pineapple, and she went, that's him. I went, couldn't you give me that at the beginning, where were we? Martin Weston, where do you think your spiritual path is leading you?
Thank you, Martin. I know Martin.
All right. Thank
you, Martin. Okay, where it's leading me. Oh, well, I had a joke there, but I'm not going to say it. Where do I think? Where would I like it to lead me? Where would I like it? I mean, I like teaching. I like working with people. I like to share my knowledge. I actually love it, really. Yeah. More so than I think platform and like one-to-one sittings. And I'm constantly learning, and I learn from them. I just want to help people, I suppose. I just want to help people.
Yeah, lovely.
And I want to travel. I want to travel with it as well. To the
Bahamas,
Europe
and the States. You'll be there. Jordan K. Just asking there, can asking too many psychics the same question ruin the outcome? In terms of looking into someone spiritually. Well, what's your thoughts on that? Can asking too many psychics the same question ruin the outcome? What's your thoughts on that?
There was an old thing I used to hear people say, well, if you hear it 3 times, it's true. If you hear it 3 times, it's true. And I don't think, oh dear, let me think about this one, because I just had the answer, then it went away. This lady just won't leave me alone with, she keeps coming in. If you ask to, I'll tell you what, I think it can ruin the outcome. It's like everything we experience in life, our thoughts, our feelings, whatever is in our aura. It's like a big memory bank, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like a huge a memory bank. And so I think if I asked you, if a medium came to you and gave you a message that you'd asked a question for, and that response was in your aura, and it wasn't coming from spirit, they were working psychically, I can guarantee you'd get the same response every time. And I've witnessed that myself.
Yeah.
It's only because they've retained that information in their aura, and the psychic or clairvoyant is taking that information from the aura rather than bringing it from spirit.
Yeah.
So, I do think sometimes it can. And I don't think you should worry about the outcome of things. I think you should just take it as it comes,
And I think sometimes...
properly, I found it.
No, I like that about picking it up from the sitter.
Yeah, that is another problem with psychics, and is like like I say, I might have this wish, the desire, this the burning ambition inside me, say to get married, because you get a lot of young girls come in and they want to get married, and you know, and they got this particular person in their head that they've been seeing, but he hasn't popped the question, and it's been going on for years and years. So that desire is within them. So the image they fantasize about is, you know, there's me and him walking down the aisle. There's a psychic may come along and read the aura and pick up that image, and they're telling that person, oh yeah, you will get married, and you will get married to that person, because they're picking up on the information that's already there. So that's why it's important to know that you're talking to the spirit world and to receive the information from the spirit world.
Yeah.
From their loved ones.
There is also the danger there. Can asking too many psychics the same question ruin the outcome? And this is only something the person asking that question can answer is, are you just going and waiting to hear the answer that you want to hear?
Yeah.
And that is a danger for people. And only the person who posted the questions can answer that. You know, oh, I don't like that answer. You've got to work hard. Oh, bugger that. Oh, I don't want to do that one. Hold on. What have you got to... Because we see it, don't we, at the mind, body, spirit fairs and things. People will book every sitter. You know, they will have like 8 or 9 readings in the day, and they will only take out what they like.
Or you get the one that says, they go back to the organizer and goes, I didn't think they were any good. I didn't get what they want. So the organizer feels guilty. So they could say, all right, then let's look, you could try that one. And then they try that one, and they're just being crafty. And then they come back and they go, oh, I didn't like that. So they go to, I've seen that. It makes me laugh. Because you know what they're up to.
Yeah, that's why I always introduce, when we do private sittings here, I always introduce in front of the medium and the sitter. If in the first 10 minutes it's not working, absolutely fine, you get up and walk out. One medium did take a bit of umbrage with that, which is why I've never had a sitting go wrong. I said, yeah, you may not have, but you don't know what they do when they come out of the door, because by that time you've got your next sitter in there, and I can't interrupt you. And if they come out to me saying that was a load of rubbish, I'm stuck. I can't.
But also another interesting question is, do our loved ones in the spirit world pick the medium? So I've heard in the past people say, these are old things, but a lot of people say, is if they don't like you, they won't come through. They won't come through you. They, you know, they wouldn't have liked you, so they won't come through you as a medium to give a message. If you must have heard of that before. I have. And then my answer to that is, if I hear that, is, oh well, maybe, you know, because when I'm working, especially on platform, I talk to, say, I'm going to say Uncle Sally then. Well, I mean, because it's all this. That's my brother there winding me up. So say if I'm bringing through an auntie, and I see an L plate on them, and that means they've never been through before. And I see this heart, and they've been knocking on the door, trying to communicate with the mediums, trying to come through. And I can hear they're saying, oh, you know, I've been trying to come through. So I do think, I don't know whether it's because the energy doesn't match, or whether the medium's not open enough to receive that particular auntie or whoever trying to get through. But you do see members of the congregation. They sit there and they've been going for years, and you know, my auntie's never been through. My auntie's never. And is it because she doesn't want to come through, or is it because the medium can't receive the information? Or what do you say on that?
No, you do hear that. We tend to have this fantasy that once you die, you learn everything, you know, that communicating is going to be second nature to you in the spirit world. Well, I don't believe it's like that at all. The accounts that I've read vary between spirit being able to do their own form of mental mediumship through their associates to the medium, to one of the old-fashioned ones was for every medium working, there were 7 circles of 7. I don't know why 7 is such a magical number. Also, they may not want to come back for a while for whatever reason. Grief is a big issue for the spirit.
But another point I wanted to make was what I've experienced is sometimes what you're saying, they've just passed or they've gone off for healing or for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And a guide, this happened to me many years ago, and this is how I learned about this. I was bringing through saying auntie again, and I was going yes, and then I suddenly realised it was the guide giving me the information, and she says she's okay and everything's all right, but it was the guide was passing. It doesn't happen often, but the guide was actually passing on the messages for the lady that was in spirit. Because for whatever reason, that maybe she was receiving healing, she couldn't, I don't know. But that happens as well. And we don't talk about that a lot, do we?
No, we don't.
No, we don't talk about that a lot. That happens as well.
But it's fascinating, as I say, and we do build up this illusion that the spirit world, we've got two illusions going on at the moment. One is particularly irritating. We think the spirit world know everything. The minute you die, that's it. Suddenly you are there, you are king of the castle, you know everything, you can do everything. The other thing that's coming into our movement is people are putting earthly conditions on the spirit world and talking about spirit as you would do somebody on the earth plane. It's just sort of like, where are you coming from with that? I don't understand that.
What do you mean by that?
They're referring to spirit. Oh yeah, well of course they sit around the table and they'll bitch about other people and things like that. And I'm just like, where is this coming from? I don't understand it. You've got the whole of eternity to explore in front of you. I don't think I'm going to be sat around the kitchen table bitching about somebody on the earth plane.
Oh, they're saying spirits come through and bitch about the living.
Yeah. And they just put earthly conditions on spirit communications, and I just think it's not for me. I'm not saying it's wrong, but it's just not for me. Anyway, Roy, lovely Roy. How many times have you heard a sister say, I don't want to speak to him or her?
Well, I mean, I've heard that quite a few times, especially if the wife's about husbands, and I say, I've got your husband here. She goes, well, I don't want to talk about him now. I never talked about him when I was on the earth plane, so he can bugger off. It's usually, I've had that one before, and then you go, oh, all right.
Yeah.
That's right. Yep. That's happened quite a few times.
The other one is, I've got your husband here. Which one? Oh, blimey.
Yeah. I remember giving a message, and I said it was in Spain actually, and I was doing platform there, and I remember giving a message to this lady, and I said, why am I seeing three men in your bed? She goes, they're my 3 dead husbands. That was a good one as well. That was quite, mind you, in Spain they all marry 3 or 4 times.
Oh, fair enough. Leslie Manning, I've had spirit that aren't keen on me, but they will still take the opportunity to come through. However, some specifically say that they've led the sitter to me. And this is an interesting thing.
Spirit aren't keen on you. How do you know they're not keen on you?
Yeah. Go on, Leslie, rest up.
How do you know they're not keen on you?
Yeah. I'm sure she'll be typing away furiously as we speak.
Well, when you say, however, some are led to you by the sister, well, they are, because I find that, because I do a lot of readings, and I find that maybe the day before they come in, or they communicate with their loved one the day before, and they have a sign, they come in their dreams, or in the morning their favorite music will come on, or messages will come through for the sitter before they get to me. And then I'll say to them, oh, your dad said he's spoken to you this morning. And they'll say, oh, yeah, he did. That happens a lot, actually. That happens a hell of a lot.
It does. And as the medium as well, you just can be the slightest little thing in the morning. And just when you start giving that thing will come back and sort of like a thimble, something daft like that. It can be, you see a thimble and you just note it. And it's like, thimble. Oh yeah, she had a thimble. She always, and it's silly little things like that. Leslie Manning just coming back. They say they're not keen. Fair enough.
I'd say go to another medium then.
Yeah, exactly. Right, my darling. I know you have a massively busy day today teaching over in the States online. So thank you for this hour. It's been I can't wait to see you down here. I really can't wait. What a treat. What an absolute treat. Thank you for this hour. We've thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you, everybody. Sorry we couldn't get through every question tonight, but as I say, Sandra has been working all day online. Certain areas of the body have now become very numb. And we need a little stretch. Sandra, can't wait. 2 weeks from now, you will be down here in sunny Poole, which will be absolutely awesome. You're taking an evening of mediumship on the Friday night, a workshop on the Saturday, and our Sunday morning divine. So we are really looking forward to meeting you in person. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And again, thank you, everybody. But we can't overrun too much tonight because Sandra has been a real star adding this onto a very busy work schedule. So thank you, darling.
And thank you for having me. And thank you, everyone, for listening. Okay.